Hi, Math9. This is the fourth video for the Excel unit or spreadsheet unit, and I just kind of cherry picked some more helpful features, I think, from Excel that I'm going to show you. Now, certainly if you were going to take information processing class, you would go into much, much more detail about spreadsheets than we're doing here. But for a little one-day session, I think these are the things that you're going to find useful. So for our, sort of last unit here, I want to talk about sorting data, word wrap, how to change the rotation of your letters, how to merge cells, and a couple of advanced functions. We already talked about that, and just the fill feature, fill series feature. So the data I'm using is the exact same data I had before. We were working on this stuff in functions last time. I'm just going to delete that. And we're going to start, and I'm just going to show you a few of these more, I don't even know if they're advanced. They're just a couple different useful things you can do. All right, now this one is really handy. Sorting data. Okay, now if I want to sort data on a spreadsheet, luckily I've kind of got this built in to this spreadsheet right now, but let's just say that I ignored this top this top column, and I just wanted to sort some of this data here. Right now, I don't know how it's sorted. It doesn't appear to be sorted from high to low in any of these categories. Well, what if we did want to sort all this data? We've got 3,000 players. I don't want to do that by hand. I don't want to be copying and pasting and retyping. So what if we wanted to organize everybody by last name? It turns out there's a very, very easy way to do this in Excel. And when you're working with huge data sets, you have to be able to sort your data, and you have to be able to find what you're looking for very quickly. So the important thing about sorting is, first off, go to the Data tab, because that's where all the kind of funky filtering and sorting stuff is. So go to the Data tab, and then make sure you select your whole spreadsheet. Okay, so I'm going to go up to the top left corner and click up here so it selects my whole spreadsheet. And then what I want to do is I want to sort some of my data. And it's not giving me a sort option right now, and it's probably because I've got this stuff in here. I might have to delete this. Because it's kind of got built-in sorting here. But you're not always going to have that. Can I get rid of that? I'm just going to pause the video here and just figure this out. All right, I'm back. And it turns out, because of the way that we built this spreadsheet, or the way that we imported it, it automatically put the filters in the top row. And I actually can't get rid of them. So I'm going to have to show you a couple different ways to sort. Luckily, when you are building a spreadsheet, when you're importing data, it's usually smart enough to try to kind of figure out that the first row is usually your heading names, so first name, last name, team, etc. And it builds in, when you import, these little filter buttons here. And I think it does this on Google Sheets too. But what these allow you to do is allow you to do the data sorting that I was going to show you, just kind of with a point and click instead of reaching up here. So, for instance, if we wanted to organize this by team name, if you just click on this little button there, you can sort them from A to Z or Z to A very quickly. And you can also select which ones you want to see and which ones you don't want to see. And they're just little click boxes down here. So, for instance, if I wanted to sort by team alphabetically, I just go up to the sort A to Z, and it changes all the data. So this person actually doesn't have a team there, so maybe I'm just going to put ARI in there. And then, so all the people from Arizona, that's what ARI is, are going to be listed first. And then the next one is going to be Atlanta, so that's ATL. So all the players from Atlanta, and then Baltimore. So we were able to sort all 3,000 by this particular column. We can do it with all the players by their last name too. We just move over to the next box, last name, sort A to Z. So there's our last names in order from A to Z. And you can sort it the other way from Z to A. So Mike Zunino is the last alphabetically last person in the alphabet. And you can do it with the numerical stats too. So if you wanted to go to at-bats and sort from the highest to the lowest, there's Jose Altuve. He has the most at 646, and then it just keeps going down. And you can do that with any column, right? Sort largest to smallest, or sort smallest to largest. Okay, but what if you have a spreadsheet, or you've just typed data in and you don't have all these fancy filter buttons at the top? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide this row for a second and just say that you had data like this and you didn't have those handy filter boxes. How do you sort your data? Well, first off, you surround or you select the data that you want to sort. So I'm just going to click and manually drag to about here. And if I wanted to do some sorting in here, remember that I said to be on the Data tab. And then there's a sort function. So when you click this sort function, it gives you some options. So first off, what column do you want to sort by? Well, let's say we wanted to sort by team. So I would go sort by and then click team from the drop down. And what do I want to sort on, based on? Well, the cell values, so what's written in here. And how do I want to order it? I want to order it from A to Z. So I want to take whatever's in the team, okay, I want it to read what's in the box, and I want to order them from A to Z. So when I click that, now it has organized these the way I wanted it to. And I'll just grab some more kind of random data here and go to a sort. This time, instead of sorting by team, I'm going to sort by the A-B category, and I'm going to do it from largest to smallest. So now it's sorted it based on this column instead. So that's a very handy way of finding out, maximums and minimums in the top 10 and things like that by using the sort function. There's a quick one here too, by the way, A to Z, Z to A, depending on which column you're in. So if I'm in that column, A to Z, Z to A. If I'm in this column, A to Z, Z to A. When it's with numbers, it's it's low to high, high to low kind of thing. So I think that's a pretty handy little feature there. Next one, word wrap. This is about formatting. Sometimes it can get annoying if you've got a word or something you need to type. So let's just say I've got some text here, and I want to type some text here. And this text is too long. I can't read it. And what's going to happen is you're only going to see the front part of that because it runs into this text that I've got here. So when I'm clicked on it, I can read all the text up here, but I can't see it on my spreadsheet. Now, I could just make this column wider so I can read it, but there's also a way that you can wrap your text inside a column or a row, a cell, to be more specific, so that it goes on multiple lines, right? Because sometimes you want text on more than one line. So all you have to do is you have to go to the cell that has the writing, and then you right-click on it, and that pops up all these things. And what you want to do is you want to go to Format Cells, and you can do a whole bunch of stuff in here. But the one we're looking for is in alignment. So now in alignment, I can click something called Wrap Text. And in wrapping text, it sends it to the second line. So it says, this text is too long, I can't read it. Now you can read the whole thing. It just had to make the row a little bit taller. Another thing you can do is, if it's too much text, you can go right back in there, and sometimes you can do the shrink to fit, and it'll change the size of the text so that it will fit in the box. No matter how big or small you make it, it'll just keep adjusting your text until until all the words are there. So there's a couple ways that you can change the way that things look. You can also do a bunch of the stuff that you can do up here in the Home tab. If I go back to the Home tab, remember when we were playing with font and the color and that stuff? You can do that in this right-click Format Cells menu too. So if you go to your font, you can change your font, you can change the size, you can make it bold, you can make it centered, you can make it vertically centered. All the stuff that you could do up here, you can also do in that menu as well. All right, well, what happens if you want to have text that's vertical or horizontal at a certain angle? I'm just going to make this row, okay? And I'll just type in angled text here. Okay, let's say I want to have this text, first off, I'll make it a little bit bigger, but I don't want it to go from left to right. What if I want it, straight up and down or upside down or on an angle? You can do that as well. So click on the cell where you've got the text, right-click, Format Cells, and then over here you see this orientation. You can change the angle. So I'm going to put it straight up and down just by grabbing and dragging this around. Now it's straight up and down. Okay. And there's all sorts of other options. You can put it any angle you want. There's, what is that, 46 degrees right there. And now it's at 46 degrees. So that's just a handy little formatting thing. Go up, down, left, right. And 0 is obviously where it stops. That makes the text go vertically instead of from left to right. So it's, it's kind of going top to bottom now. And you can turn that off by clicking that. And now it's going from left to right. And a handy little formatting option. Horizontal and vertical alignment, we did that one. Merging cells. Let's say you've got two cells and you wanted to make like a header row or something like that. So let's say I wanted to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these cells and just turn it into one and make it say players or data or something like that. You can just do that by clicking and dragging and selecting the cells you want to merge. Okay. Then right click, go back to the exact same spot, format cells, and there is something in here called merge cells. Now I know why I can't do this right now. It's because I've got these filters built into the top. So I'll do it over here. Let's say I've got, just data, 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 data. And then I wanted to put a little header above that data, and I didn't want it all to be over here. Well, what I can do is just what I did before. I'm going to select 1, 2, 3, 4 cells, right-click into Format Cells, and I'm going to pick Merge Cells, and then I'm going to hit OK. And now, instead of being 4 cells, this is just one big cell. So it's still 4 cells down here, but it's one big cell above it. So if I center that angled text thing, and now you'll notice it's centered in the big one, not in just this side right here. So you can do that with any cells. Just keep in mind, if you try to merge cells that already have typing or data in them, it's going to give you a warning here. So I'll show you. I'm going to try and merge these 3 cells together. So I'm going to try and turn these 3 cells into one cell. So if I hit merge cells here, it's going to give me an error. It's going to say it only keeps the upper left value and discards the rest. What that means is it's going to turn these 3 cells into one, but it's only going to keep this text. It has to delete those text right there. So that's what it did. So now instead of 3 cells, this is just one. Instead of 4 cells, this is just one. And then you can do it again. I could take these 2 and the one above it, and I can merge them. So I'm going to merge them. It's going to be the same error. I'm going to say OK, but now it's just one huge cell. So that's mostly for data formatting and how do I want things to look more than it is about using the numbers. But if you're making a school project and you want to make it look a certain way, that might be handy. I showed you where the advanced functions bar is. I'm not going to go into any more, but remember this FX bar up here. And this gives you access to all the functions that are inside of Excel, and like I said, there's thousands of them, but the mostly used ones that we would use would be sum, average, count, max, min, and that's probably it. And is there anything else on this list? Ooh, wrong list. Fill. Oh, there is a tool. I told you and I showed you how to use the fill button, which was this one down here. Okay, so that was when you had a cell selected. Maybe you had a formula in that cell. Let's say it was equals this number plus this number. And then I showed you how to fill that down by dragging this handle, and it did the math for you. Well, it turns out you can do that with all sorts of stuff. If you want to repeat something, let's say you have the word TO typed in there, you can drag down and it's just going to put TO the entire way. If you have a number sequence, let's say I've got 1, 2, if I select both of those and I drag down, it's going to do its best to try and fill in the pattern. So in this case, 1, 2 turned into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not bad with patterns, actually. I'm going to try 2, 4, 6 and see if it is smart enough. Oop, 2, 4, 5 isn't going to work. 2, 4, 6. So I'm going to grab 2, 4, 6, and then I'm going to drag down. And sure enough, it says, I think you're going up by 2 every time, so I'm going to go up by 2 every time. So that can be handy. And another thing is that if it's not quite sure what you want to fill, so let's say I had 1, 3, and then I click and drag, and I go down here. You see what this little button here is? It's about filling what the chart looks like. Actually, this isn't what I thought it was. It's not what I wanted. I want fill series, and I believe that is in... There it is, right there. That's the button I was looking for. It's the autofill options. So if you click on that, it'll say you just want to copy what's in there. So whatever was in the first cell will be in all of them. Do you want to fill a series? Do you want to fill the formatting? So if they were all bold or something like that. The fill series is the one that's kind of the most interesting one because that's what it's trying to do here. It thinks I'm going up by 2, so it tries to fill it going up by 2. But here's where it's kind of handy. Let's say you had a day. Let's say you had Monday. And you were building charts or something like that. Well, instead of having to type the rest out, if I type in Monday, it's going to say, let's go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And there's even a way to make it ignore week. And there we go, right there. Fill days, fill weekdays. So if I fill weekdays, now it just goes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then skips back to Monday again. So I think that's pretty handy if you're making, tables and calendars and stuff like that, where it'll fill, but it'll fill specific to what you want, if you want to include weekends or not. Dates, watch this, January 1, 2020. Now if I fill the dates all the way down, I'm actually gonna format these a little differently so that I think it looks nicer. So I'm gonna go with date format, and I'm gonna put in this one. My dates are gonna look like this. Now watch what happens when I fill down with a date. It knows how many days are in each month, so it fills January up until the 31st, then it does February, and by the way, it knows that this is a leap year, so it put in February 29th, and it's just going to keep filling down as long as you want it to. Okay? And it knows how many days are in each month. If I change the date from this one to 2021, it's no longer a leap year. Now watch what happens when I hit February. It only goes to February 28th instead of February 29th. So that fill series is also a handy little button, I think. That's probably good enough. Hopefully that gives you a reasonable introduction to Excel and spreadsheets, and I think it can make your high school life a lot easier if you get in the habit of taking large sets of data and putting them in spreadsheets and using spreadsheets to do some of the math and some of the organizing for you. It can save you a lot of time, especially in classes like science and upper level math classes. It's gonna be a real time saver for you. All right, so you've got some assignments there that you can work on to practice. They won't take you very long, and then we'll move back into Unit 5.